Hey Bag Lady, today I'm going to show you how to make my easy cork or leather notebook cover. This fits a standard composition notebook, and I also have a larger size for the Quilter's planner. So you can use any fabric that you can cut and leave raw: cork, leather, vinyl, even wool. You can either leave it just plain like this one right here. You can do some hand embroidery or machine embroidery like this one, or you can use a cork print with a design on it like the one I used for my Quilter's planner. You just need one 18 by 27 piece of fabric and your sewing machine, and it's a quick 10-minute project. So grab your supplies and let's get started. Okay, so this project is for either your standard composition notebook, which you can find at any office supply store or even at the dollar store, or the Quilter's Planner, the 2018 version. So let's go ahead and tape our pattern pieces together. You'll want to print out the templates using Adobe Reader. It's a free program, so if you don't already have it on your device, you can download it for free. And you want to make sure that you print at actual size, so not scaling or fit to page. It's got to be actual size. And on page 2 of the templates, there's a 1-inch square and a 4-centimeter square. And you want to take your ruler and measure either of those, and it's got to measure exactly. So if it doesn't measure exactly, if it's slightly smaller or slightly larger than your ruler, you'll need to go back and check your printer settings. So assuming that your templates have printed out correctly, let's go ahead and tape them together. So first, we're going to tape together pages 1 and 2, and I'm going to cut out the left-hand margin on page 2. Okay, and if you'll notice, there's little triangles on either page, and you'll use those triangles to align the pieces. And you also want to make sure that the drawing for the pattern piece is continuous. Okay, and go ahead and take some Scotch tape and tape those together. Okay, now we're going to tape to this page, number 3, and then finally number 4. So I'm going to cut off the top margin on page 3. Okay, and then I'm also going to cut out from page 4 the left margin and also the top margin. Okay, line with the triangles and tape that last piece into place. Okay, so if you'll notice on this completed taped template, there's one pattern piece for the Quilter's Planner, and there's one for the standard composition notebook. So you won't need both of them. Just choose the correct one for the project that you're making. So today I'm going to be making the standard composition notebook, so that's the one I'm going to cut out. And you're going to cut to the outside of the thick black line. Okay, so now that I've got my pattern piece, let me show you how to cut out the cover from your fabric. So I'm using a cork fabric, and I've already gotten some embroidery on it. The embroidery is completely optional, so if you just want it to be a blank cover, that's completely fine. I don't usually like to fold cork fabric, and so I'm going to show you how to trace the template on both halves of the fabric. Okay. I'm using a Clover Choco in white, especially since we're cutting this as a raw edge project. I don't want to use my usual friction pens just because I don't want the ink showing on the raw edges of the fabric in the finished project. So that's why I'm using the Quilter Choco. Okay, so because this pattern piece says place on the fold, we also need to draw the mirror image half. So I'm going to do that by lining up the paper on that center line that I drew, and then I'm going to draw the other half. Okay, now I'm going to take my fabric scissors and cut out the fabric along the lines. You can also use your rotary cutter. I'm just in the habit of using my Quilter Choco and the scissors. Okay, so that's my cover piece, and if you'll notice on the paper template, you also need 2 pieces for the lining. So for the composition size notebook, you'll need 2 pieces that are each 5.5 by 10.25. And I've got those 2 pieces cut out right now. Okay, so what we're going to do with that is I'm going to flip to the wrong side of both of these rectangles. And I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm just going to draw a line that's 1/4 inch in from one of the long edges. And same thing on the second piece. And what we're going to do with that line is, instead of trying to get the edges to be perfectly even and stay even while we're sewing, I made these rectangles slightly larger than the ends of the cover, so we have a little bit of wiggle room. So what I'm going to do is, with one of the short edges of the cover, I'm going to pin that to the line that I just drew, that 1/4 inch line, and you'll have a little bit of overhang on each of these side edges. So go ahead and take some Wonder Clips and clip that into place. Okay, and you're going to do the same thing on the opposite end of the cover, the other short end. We're going to line on that second rectangle. And again, this edge is going to be even with the line that you drew, and you'll have a little bit of overhang of the rectangle past the cover. Okay, so I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew around the entire outer edge of this cover using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so I just want to call your attention to my foot. If you're using cork or leather or vinyl, you'll want to be using either a Teflon foot or a walking foot. Okay, now we're going to trim those rectangles so that they're even with the cover. So go ahead and take your time. Since this is going to be a raw edge cover, you really want to make sure that your edges are nice and even. Okay, so the cover's finished. So all that you need to do is grab your notebook and slide it in to the lining pieces. Okay, and it's a great way to use a variety of corks or vinyl. So I made one here with embroidery and black cork, and here's one with just a plain cover. It's a great quick teacher gift and great for the holidays too. Thanks so much for sewing along with me. I can't wait to see your finished notebook cover. Be sure to join my Facebook group and post a photo of your finished project there. And remember, if I can do it, so can you.